What's up, Tailgaters? My name is Tailgate Nate. Welcome back to my channel. I know I haven't uploaded a video in quite some time, but again, I was moving into college. I'm in my dorm room now, as you can see behind me. Haven't quite figured out how to get my green screen set up, and I don't know if I will, but I'm back uploading videos for you guys. I'm getting settled in. Everything is going well here, and I'm ready to start making some videos again. So today I'm going to upload 2 videos for you guys, and it is my last sort of off-season predictions, right? We're going to look at my conference championship predictions for all 10 FBS conferences, and then my college football playoff and New Year's 6 predictions. So if you guys are excited for that, please leave a like, share the videos as well. You can also hit that subscribe button if you're brand new, you find yourself coming back. Guys, I know I'm not a college football expert. I'm going to get some stuff wrong. I know that. But if you like what you see from me and you want to hear my opinions, hit that subscribe button, ring the bell so you know when I upload. Again, I'm going to try to get more consistent with my uploads as the college football season goes on. I know that might not be super possible, but again, uploads will come out when they come out. You can also leave a comment down below. I read every single one that comes through. Of course, just try to be mindful what you say down there. Please comment anything you like. You can tell me your conference championship predictions, maybe even some other thoughts that you might have. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into conference championship predictions. So I'm going to go through every single FBS conference. Of course, not the independents because they're independents. They don't belong to a conference, but I'm going to go through every single conference and predict their championship games. So let's go ahead and get right into it. We're going to start with the group of 5 and then go ahead and go into the Power 5. So group of 5 here, we're going to start with the Mid-American Conference. In the Mid-American Conference Championship, I have the Ohio Bobcats and the Ball State Cardinals. So we'll start over with Ball State here. I really do like this Ball State team. It starts with the quarterback play of Drew Plitt. They have some really talented wide receivers out there as well, some all Mid-American Conference players. Ball State is a team that I think a lot of people kind of writ off last year as people forgetting how good Ball State was. Ball State was pretty good last year. I think they can continue to be good this year. And I do have them winning the Mid-American Conference over the Ohio Bobcats. Ohio's a team that's bringing in a new head coach, but they're returning a lot of great talent. And I think they're going to get into a Mid-American Conference championship game. Now, there are some other players in this conference, right? You have teams like Toledo, Western Michigan, even Miami of Ohio. They can all contend for a spot in the Mid-American Conference championship game. But ultimately, when I looked at the schedules, when I looked at these teams, I felt like these were the 2 most deserving, the 2 most talented teams. I feel like these are the 2 teams that you're going to see at the end of the season in the Mid-American Conference championship game, with Ball State being your winner. You could also throw Buffalo out there as well. Buffalo's an interesting team to watch. Again, lots of interesting teams to watch in the MAC. It's going to be a very competitive conference this year, but I have Ball State winning that conference. All right, moving on here to Conference USA. And I have the UAB Blazers beating the Marshall Thundering Herd in that conference championship game. So we'll start with UAB. They're a team that has been really good ever since they brought their football program back, right? So ever since canceling their football program about a decade ago, and then now bringing it back, they've been really good over the past, say, 4, 5, 6 years that they've had their football program back, some along those lines. And I think they're going to continue to be good again this year. Again, there are some games that loom large, especially that game against Georgia. But in my opinion, UAB is the best team in Conference USA. So now let's look at the team like Marshall. Excuse me. Sorry. So let's look at a team like Marshall. Marshall was quite a surprise last year. In fact, they were one of the undefeated teams that were like, oh, can this team run the table? And then they kind of fell off last year just a little bit. They were still a good team last year, and I think they're going to continue to be a good team this year. Again, there are some interesting games on the schedule for Marshall. Ultimately, I think them and UAB will end up with the same record, but they will meet in the Conference USA championship game with UAB winning the conference. Again, you could throw out some other names. Middle Tennessee State, I think, can be sneaky good, along with North Texas and UTSA with Sincere McCormick at running back. And you could also throw out Western Kentucky. That's a school that I've seen throw out a lot as well. Western Kentucky, Marshall. I think those are going to be the 2 players in that division. Ultimately, I decided to go with Marshall, but at the end of the day, no matter who faces UAB, I do think the Blazers will be the conference champions. All right, moving right along here. The Mountain West Conference Championship, in my opinion, is going to feature Boise State and Nevada. Now, you might be saying, well, where's San Jose State? They're in the same division as Nevada, but I like Nevada too much. Boise State's the easy, obvious pick to come out of their division to play in the Mountain West Championship game. But Nevada and San Jose State, that is going to be a game to watch if you are a fan of any of the teams in the Mountain West. That's going to be a phenomenal game. San Jose State is not going to be bad this year at all. They should still be pretty good, but I am just too high on Nevada, hence why I also have them beating Boise State, avenging what I think is going to be a regular season loss to the Broncos in the postseason and winning the Mountain West Conference. Look, they have an NFL-ready quarterback in Carson Strong, an NFL-ready tight end in Cole Turner, an NFL-ready wide receiver in Romeo Doubs, and possibly an NFL-ready running back in Toa Taua, although, of course, might not get drafted. But there are some other really good players on the defensive end. I am really high on Nevada this year. I think they're going to perform excellently this year, and I do have Nevada winning the Mountain West, avenging that regular season loss to Boise State in the conference title game. Moving on here to the Sun Belt Conference. The Sun Belt Championship, in my opinion, is going to feature Coastal Carolina and Louisiana. Both teams I have going 11-1, and I could easily see both of these teams running the table, going undefeated. Both of these teams could meet in the title game 12-0. It absolutely can happen. Both of these teams are really good. They're returning a lot of talent on both the offensive and the defensive sides. Now, both teams are breaking in a new running back this year. And if you want me to go into a little bit more detail, I did do videos on these two separate teams here. But overall, when you look, it's pretty clear cut, right? Who's going to win the Sun Belt Conference? Now, of course, you can't, or who's going to be in the Sun Belt Conference title game. Now, of course, you can't count out App State. I don't think you can count out Arkansas State this year either. Those are two teams that I think are going to be in the mix. But ultimately, Coastal Carolina, Louisiana, I think are just going to be too good. I think they're just going to be too good for this conference. I do have each of them picking up a loss throughout the season. Of course, Louisiana has that game against Texas. And Coastal Carolina, I just feel like it's going to drop a game somewhere, although has a really easy schedule and could, again, easily go 12-0. My predicted winner, though, for this game, I think it's going to be a close game. I think it's going to be hard fought, but I do have Louisiana winning this game. I think Louisiana returning more production. I think they are going to be the better team than Coastal Carolina this year, and I think they're going to be more battle tested. Louisiana has some tougher games on the schedule than Coastal Carolina. They play some harder teams, so I feel like Louisiana being more battle tested and, in my opinion, more talented, they will win the Sun Belt Conference. Possibly could get in to the Group of 5 slot in the New Year's Six Bowl, but again, we'll have to see what happens with the next conference we're looking at, and that is the American Athletic. Now, Cincinnati is going to be the favorite, and I have picked Cincinnati to win this game, to win the American Athletic Championship, in which I have over UCF. But don't count out UCF. You also can't count out teams like Houston, SMU, Memphis. Those are going to be some interesting games this year as well, or excuse me, some interesting teams to watch. Now, for Cincinnati, of course, I've said this before, I think they have the best shot to make the college football playoff that any Group of 5 team has ever had. And they have the games to prove it. They have to go on the road to play Indiana, on the road to play Notre Dame. And if they can take care of business in what is only an improving American Athletic Conference, they could be real players in the college football playoff. Again, if they can run the table, they can take care of business, they can do it impressively enough for the committee, they might end up finding themselves playing on New Year's Eve for a chance to play in the national title, of course, getting into the college football playoff. Now with UCF, they're bringing in Gus Malzahn as the head coach. How's that going to work out? We'll see, but UCF definitely has the talent. Last year, kind of a little bit of a down year for UCF, and this game was fairly close last year. So we'll go ahead and see how this game looks. Again, these two teams do meet in the regular season in Nippert. I do have Cincinnati winning that game, and I think UCF is going to play them a lot harder in this one, but I don't see UCF winning that game either. I do think Cincinnati will be the champion of the American Athletic and get that New Year's Six spot for the Group of 5 conference champion. All right, let's go ahead and move on to the Power 5 conferences here. And the first one I have up is the Pac-12. So the Pac-12, I think, is going to be the most competitive, well, possibly could be the most competitive Power 5 conference. Of course, Oregon, USC, the two teams I have here, are the two teams that I've picked to make the Pac-12 championship game, and they're going to be the two front runners to win the Pac-12. I have Oregon winning this game here, but there are some other teams that you can't count out. Washington, Arizona State, Utah, UCLA. There are other teams that are going to be players for the Pac-12 championship spot, especially when you look at teams like Utah, Arizona State, and Washington. UCLA might just be a pleasant surprise. Don't know that they'll make it to a Pac-12 championship game, but the other three that I've mentioned, it wouldn't surprise me at all to see them wind up in the Pac-12 championship game. All three of those other teams I mentioned have the talent to do so. I just think when you look at these two teams, when you look overall at the Pac-12, I think these two teams clearly are the best teams in the Pac-12. I know that's kind of in the air, up for debate. But both of these teams look really good in spring summer camp. Again, there are some things you got to watch with both of these teams. With Oregon, again, how well is that quarterback play? Are they going to be healthy throughout the season? Can their big performers be big performers? Stuff like that. And with USC, how does the defense play? How does the offensive line play? How does losing Brew McCoy to arrest and then subsequently kicking him off the team, how does that affect USC? We'll have to wait and see. My predicted winner, though, and again, I know there's not a lot of parity in college football, but I know I am predicting Oregon to be that Pac-12 champion this year, get a spot in the New Year's Six Bowl. Again, we'll have to wait and see what happens with both of these teams, but I do think that Oregon is the best team in the Pac-12 right now. All right, moving on here. We're going to talk about the Big Ten. So we just talked about Oregon. Now we're going to talk about Ohio State. Both those teams have to play each other this year in Columbus. That should be a very exciting game. In the Big 12 championship game, though, I do have Ohio State. Look, the Big Ten is Ohio State's conference to lose. Until someone else goes out and can win the Big Ten, you should be able to pick nobody else but Ohio State. And that's exactly what I've done. I think the Buckeyes are going to run the table this year and be the Big Ten champions. Will they be the best team in the nation? No, I don't think so. But I do think this team definitely has the talent to do so and definitely can get back to a college football playoff spot, as can Wisconsin, but they do have to improve in a lot of areas, especially with that quarterback position in Graham Mertz. He has to improve his play. He has to get better. He has to play like he did in week 1 of the Big Ten season last year when he went 20 of 21 and was absolutely excellent against Illinois. He's got to play like that all year if Wisconsin is going to have a shot to get into the playoff. The Big Ten West could be one of the most wide open divisions in all of college football. You got Minnesota, Iowa, Northwestern, Nebraska, I think are all going to be competing for spots here as well. I think Wisconsin definitely is the most talented team in that division, hence why I have them here. But I don't think anyone out of that division is going to be able to get past the Ohio State Buckeyes. Now, I know Ohio State has questions again, the defensive secondary, the linebackers, can CJ Stroud perform, as well as Justin Fields? My answer to those 3 questions are, I think the secondary is going to be fine. The linebacker position, again, that's a position of concern. They'll just kind of have to see how well they play. And CJ Stroud, I think the quarterback position is going to be fine. Again, Ohio State's going to have one of the most explosive offenses in the nation this year. Big Ten is Ohio State's to lose. I'm picking the Buckeyes. Moving on to the ACC, very similar story here with the ACC. Clemson. You have to pick Clemson until someone else goes out and wins the ACC. Clemson has been good for the past 6-7 years that they've won the ACC in a row. I don't see that changing this year. Clemson, of course, has that game against Georgia, so they could stumble into this game with 1 loss. But again, stumble, not really the word I would use, because Clemson has a pretty easy ACC slate. They avoid North Carolina. They avoid Miami, who are going to be the 2 players in the other division in the ACC to get into the championship game. In my opinion, that's going to be North Carolina behind what I'm predicting to be future Heisman winner Sam Howell. I know Spencer Rattler's a hot commodity to pick there as well, but I am picking Sam Howell to win the Heisman. I think North Carolina is going to be really good again this year, but I don't think it's going to be enough. I think Clemson runs the table, wins the ACC, likely into a spot in the college football playoff, and could meet Ohio State again. We'll have to wait and see, right? All right. Oklahoma and Iowa State are the 2 teams I have playing for the Big 12 championship game. And this is going to be a fun game in both the regular season and the Big 12 championship. These 2 teams are far and away, in my opinion, the best 2 teams in the Big 12. Now, I know you have Texas, but again, how well does Steve Sarkisian coach? You have Oklahoma State. They have to replace quite a bit of talent, but again, still has a lot there. Lots of promising factors at both of those schools. But when you look at these 2 teams, I don't know how you can't pick this as the Big 12 championship game. Oklahoma has looked really good all offseason. You have to get really nitpicky to find a flaw with them. And when you look at Iowa State, this team is just loaded with talent. And there should be no excuse why Iowa State doesn't have a double-digit win season this year, why they can't have the best season in program history. These are two teams that I'm very excited to watch come 2021, come the start of the season, which again, guys, is almost here, right? Week 0 is only in a couple of days, but Oklahoma's just looked too good. I have Oklahoma beating Iowa State in the regular season. I think it's going to be a close game here in the Big 12 championship game, but ultimately I do think Oklahoma is the better team. They have the better pieces, and I just think Oklahoma is going to be a team on a mission this year. They are a team on a mission, and I have them winning the Big 12 conference. And for our final conference championship prediction, of course, it's the SEC. And, well, I don't think the SEC has been as clear and cut and dry any other year than this one. Georgia and Alabama easily should be those two teams that make it into the SEC championship game. Now, Georgia is a school that, well, and Georgia is a team as a whole that, well, when we look at, we've said, oh, this is the year they're finally going to beat Alabama. It hasn't happened yet. There probably should be instances where it should have happened, but again, it hasn't happened yet. So again, much like Oklahoma in the Big 12, Ohio State in the Big 10, Clemson in the ACC, Alabama, it's their conference until someone else proves them otherwise. I know a lot of people are picking Georgia to win the SEC this year. They have a really talented quarterback in JT Daniels, a really talented wide receiver core, even without George Pickens, who even then they might get back sometime this year. Who knows? A really good defense there at Georgia as well, picking up some huge transfers along the way. But Alabama has reloaded just like they have year after year. And Nick Saban is one of the best coaches to ever coach, possibly maybe even the best coach to ever coach the sport of college football. These two teams are going to be phenomenal to watch all season long, but I do think that Alabama wins the SEC this year. Not that I don't like Georgia. I think Georgia is going to be a very good team this year, and I think when this game comes around, it's going to be a close, hard-fought game. But I just like Alabama more this year. I trust Alabama more this year, and that is why I have the Crimson Tide repeating yet again as the SEC champions. So, guys, that's going to do it for my 2021 conference championship predictions. What did you guys think? Hey, do you have some different matchups, some different predictions? Let me know your thoughts in the comments section down below. Again, leave a like, share the videos, hit the subscribe button, ring the bell, do anything you can to help support the channel. Remember to play hard, but tailgate harder. Later today as well, I will also upload my 2021 college football playoff and New Year's 6 predictions. So look forward to that later today. I'll see you guys then. Goodbye.